Blood drips onto fresh snow, each crimson drop a stark reminder of what I've lost. Through the frosted windows of the great hall, I watch my former pack-mates gorging themselves on the winter feast, roasted venison, honeyed bread, mulled wine warming their bellies while I shiver barefoot in the blizzard, cast out for the crime of being an unmated Omega at 25. The wind cuts through my thin dress like ice daggers, and I wrap my arms around myself, trying to hold in what little warmth remains. My bare feet have gone numb in the snow, but I can still feel the bruises Marcus left on my ribs when I fought him off earlier tonight. The taste of blood lingers in my mouth where I bit my tongue to keep from screaming. Defective. Alpha Garrett's voice echoes in my memory, each word a lash against my soul. An Omega who refuses her purpose is no Omega at all. The laughter from inside the hall grows louder, and I catch a glimpse of Marcus through the window. His thick arm is wrapped around Sarah, another Omega, younger, prettier, more compliant. She giggles at something he whispers in her ear, and my stomach churns. That could have been me if I'd just submitted, just let him take what he wanted in the storage room behind the kitchens. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. The cold is seeping deeper now, past skin and muscle, settling into my bones. My wolf whimpers inside me, weak and small as always, begging me to go back, to crawl to Marcus and beg forgiveness. To accept whatever fate the pack decides for me. I'd rather freeze. A howl cuts through the night, long and mournful, and my blood turns to ice water. The sound comes from the north, from the deep woods where the rogues hunt. Where exiled wolves go to die. More howls join the first, a chorus of hunger and violence that makes my knees shake. I should run, but where? The storm has erased any tracks I might follow, and the nearest human town is 30 miles through wilderness that will kill me long before I reach it. Behind me, warmth and safety wait if I'm willing to pay the price. Ahead lies nothing but snow and predators and death. The howls grow closer. I force my frozen feet to move, stumbling away from the hall toward the tree line. Better to die free than live on my knees. The snow is knee-deep here, and each step is agony, but I push forward. The wind screams through the pines, drowning out all sound except the thunder of my own heart. Then I see the eyes. Golden, like molten amber, watching me from between the trees. Too large to be human, too intelligent to be merely animal. My wolf cowers as a massive black shape detaches itself from the shadows, a wolf bigger than any I've ever seen, its fur so dark it seems to swallow the moonlight. This is it, then. This is how I die. The creature steps into the clearing, and even through my fear, I'm struck by its terrible beauty. Muscles ripple beneath its midnight coat, and those golden eyes hold depths I can't fathom. It should attack now, should tear out my throat and end this misery, but instead it just watches me with something that looks almost like concern. Then the air shimmers, and the wolf begins to shift. I've seen the change 1,000 times, but never like this. Never with such fluid grace, such raw power. Bones lengthen and reshape without the usual sounds of breaking and grinding. Fur melts away like shadows retreating from dawn. In seconds, a man stands before me, tall and broad-shouldered, naked despite the freezing air, his skin unmarked by the cold that's killing me. His face is carved from granite and moonbeams, sharp cheekbones, and a strong jaw framing those impossible golden eyes. Dark hair falls across his forehead, and when he moves toward me, every instinct in my body screams at me to submit, to bare my throat, to fall to my knees before this apex predator who makes Alpha Garrett look like a pup. But I don't. I can't. My legs won't hold me anymore, and I collapse into the snow, my vision blurring at the edges. Easy, he says, and his voice is like whiskey and smoke, with an accent I can't place. You're safe now. Safe. The word is foreign on my tongue, a concept I'd almost forgotten. He crouches beside me, seemingly unbothered by his nakedness or the storm, and reaches out one large hand. I try to flinch away, but my body won't obey anymore. His fingers brush my cheek, and warmth floods through me, not just physical heat, but something deeper, something that makes my wolf lift her head for the first time in hours. His scent washes over me, pine and leather and something wild and untamed that makes my head spin. Ancient power. That's what this is. Old magic, older than packs and territories and the petty politics that rule our kind. And beneath it all, barely contained fury that makes the air itself seem to crackle. Who did this to you? The question rumbles from his chest like distant thunder, and I can hear the violence lurking just beneath the surface. I try to speak, but only a whisper emerges. Shadowpine Pack. Banished. His eyes flash, and for a moment I glimpse something terrifying in their golden depths, rage so pure and cold it makes the blizzard seem warm by comparison. Then he's lifting me, pulling me against his chest like I weigh nothing at all. The Shadowpine Pack, he repeats, and my name sounds different in his voice, weighted with significance I don't understand. Interesting. I should protest. Should demand to know who he is, what he wants, why he's helping me. But his warmth is seeping into my frozen bones, and my wolf is purring, actually purring, for the first time in my life. Whatever he is, whoever he is, he feels like safety in a way I've never known. Sleep, he murmurs against my hair. I've got you now. The last thing I see before darkness takes me is the glow of his eyes in the storm, watching the lights of Shadowpine Hall in the distance with an expression that promises retribution. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. I wake to the crackle of fire and the scent of cedar smoke. My body feels heavy, wrapped in furs that smell like him, pine and leather and that wild, untamed essence that made my wolf sing. The warmth is so foreign after hours in the blizzard that I almost weep from relief. You're awake. His voice draws my attention to the far side of what appears to be a cave. He's dressed now in dark jeans and a thermal shirt that does nothing to hide the powerful lines of his body. The firelight plays across his features, making him look like some ancient god of war and winter. I struggle to sit up, my muscles protesting every movement. Where? My temporary shelter. We're about 5 miles from your former pack lands. He moves with that fluid grace I noticed before, settling on a log across from me. You were hypothermic. Another hour and you would have died. Former pack lands. The casual way he says it makes something tight uncoil in my chest. Former. As if my exile is already accepted, already final. I should thank you, I manage, though the words feel strange on my tongue. When was the last time anyone showed me kindness without expecting something in return? He tilts his head, studying me with those impossible golden eyes. You don't trust easily. It's not a question, and I don't treat it like one. Should I? You're a stranger who appeared out of a blizzard. For all I know, you're planning to sell me to rogues or worse. A smile tugs at the corner of his mouth, but there's no humor in it. Smart girl. Trust has to be earned. He leans forward, elbows on his knees, and suddenly the air in the cave feels charged with electricity. But I'm not a stranger, Lyra Ashwood. And I'm certainly not planning to harm you. My blood turns cold. How do you know my name? I know many things about you. I know you're the daughter of former Beta James Ashwood, who died defending the pack from rogues when you were 12. I know your mother passed from grief 3 years later. I know you've been the pack's whipping girl ever since, blamed for everything from failed hunts to soured milk. His voice grows softer, but somehow more dangerous. I know Beta Marcus has been stalking you for months, waiting for the right moment to claim what he thinks he's owed. Each fact hits me like a physical blow. This stranger, this man who found me dying in the snow, knows intimate details about my life, my pain, my family. Who are you? He stands, and even in the confined space of the cave, his presence fills every corner. Power radiates from him in waves that make my Omega instincts scream at me to submit, to bare my throat, to show him proper deference. My name is Demon Blackthorn. He says it quietly, almost conversationally, but the words hit me like thunder. Though most knew me by another title. Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The world tilts sideways. Alpha King. The Blackthorn name is legend among our kind. rulers of the supernatural world for over 2 centuries. But Demon Blackthorn died decades ago, assassinated by rebels who wanted to break up the unified territories. That's impossible, I whisper. Demon Blackthorn is dead. Everyone knows the story. Everyone knows the lie. He moves closer, and I can feel the heat radiating from his skin. I was betrayed, Lyra. By my own brother, Cassius, who wanted my throne badly enough to stage my death and scatter the packs. He spread word that I'd been killed by rogues, showed them a mangled body he claimed was mine. His eyes flash with that cold fury I glimpsed before. For 23 years, I've been gathering strength, waiting for the right moment to reclaim what's mine. 23 years. My age exactly. A chill that has nothing to do with the cold runs down my spine. Why are you telling me this? I pull the furs tighter around myself, suddenly aware that I'm alone in a cave with possibly the most dangerous predator in the supernatural world. What do you want from me? He crouches in front of me, close enough that I can see flecks of amber in those golden eyes. I want to offer you a deal. I don't make deals with strangers. Then it's a good thing we're not strangers anymore. He reaches out slowly, telegraphing his movements, and brushes a strand of hair from my face. The contact sends electricity shooting through my entire body. You want revenge on those who wronged you. I need to reclaim my throne. We can help each other. My heart pounds so hard I'm sure he can hear it. How? Become my mate. The words hang in the air between us like a challenge. Temporarily, of course. Just long enough to help me unite the packs under my rule again. An Alpha King needs a queen, and an Omega who survived exile and chose freedom over submission would be inspiring to others. Mate. The word makes my wolf perk up with interest, but my human mind recoils. You're insane. Am I? Think about it, Lyra. Mated to me, you'd have power beyond anything you've ever imagined. The strength to face those who cast you out as an equal, no, as their superior. Beta Marcus would grovel at your feet. Alpha Garrett would bow his head and beg forgiveness. His voice drops to a whisper that sends shivers through me. You could have everything you've ever wanted. And what do you get out of it? Legitimacy. The packs respect strength, but they also respect tradition. A mated Alpha King, especially one whose Omega chose him freely, would be much harder for Cassius to challenge. He sits back on his heels, giving me space to think. It would be temporary, Lyra. Just until I'm secure on my throne. Just temporary, I repeat, tasting the words. They should comfort me, but instead they leave something cold and empty in my chest. And after? After, you're free to go wherever you want. With enough power and resources to start over anywhere in the world. It sounds perfect. Too perfect. I've learned to be suspicious of offers that seem too good to be true. What's the catch? For the first time since he revealed his identity, Demon looks uncertain. The mating bond. Even if we intend it to be temporary, even if we try to keep it purely political. He trails off, running a hand through his dark hair. The bond between an Alpha King and his chosen Omega is different from ordinary matings. More powerful. More permanent. My mouth goes dry. You're saying we might not be able to break it. I'm saying there's a risk. The old magic that governs royal bonds doesn't always care about our intentions. His eyes meet mine, and I see something raw and vulnerable there. If the bond takes hold completely, we'd be mated for life. Soul deep, unbreakable. The thought should terrify me. Should send me running back into the blizzard rather than risk being trapped in another situation I can't control. But instead, my wolf practically purrs at the idea, and heat pools low in my belly. Why me? I ask, forcing my voice to stay steady. Why not find some willing Omega from a loyal pack? Someone who actually wants to be queen. Demon is quiet for so long I think he won't answer. When he finally speaks, his voice is soft but deadly serious. Because you're like me, Lyra. Betrayed by those who should have protected you. cast out and left to die. You understand what it means to have everything stolen from you. He reaches for my hand, and I let him take it, gasping at the jolt of connection. And because I've been watching your pack for months, and your rejection wasn't random. Ice floods my veins. What do you mean? Someone wanted you gone. Someone went to great lengths to ensure Beta Marcus would push too far, that Alpha Garrett would have no choice but to exile you. His grip tightens on my hand. Someone who knew exactly how proud you are, how you'd choose death over submission. The cave spins around me. That's impossible. Who would? Why would? My brother has many allies, Lyra. And he's very good at manipulating situations to his advantage. Demon's voice turns deadly. Your exile serves his purposes. One less potential ally for me, one less Omega who might strengthen a rival's claim. The betrayal hits me like a physical blow. Bad enough to be cast out for my own choices, but to discover it was all orchestrated by some puppet master I've never even met? That my suffering was just a move in someone else's game? Bastard, I whisper, and Demon nods grimly. He's had decades to perfect his strategies. But he made one critical error. Those golden eyes blaze with satisfaction. He assumed you'd die in the storm. He never imagined you'd be found by someone who could give you the power to strike back. Power. The word echoes in my mind, and for the first time since my exile, I feel something other than despair. I feel rage, clean and bright and focused. If I agree to this, I say slowly, I want guarantees. I want to know exactly what I'm signing up for. Demon releases my hand and sits back, his expression shifting into something more businesslike. Fair enough. What do you want to know? Everything. How this bond works, what you expect from me, what happens if we can't break it. I pull the furs closer around myself, using them like armor. And I want to know why you were watching my pack. How long have you known about me? He's quiet for a moment, and I can practically see him weighing his words. I've been monitoring several packs in the region, looking for potential allies and threats. Your pack came to my attention about 6 months ago when they started making overtures to Cassius's supporters. Garrett contacted your brother? Through intermediaries, yes. Offering loyalty in exchange for protection and territory expansion. Demon's expression darkens. As part of his intelligence gathering, Cassius has been looking for potential pressure points, ways to ensure loyalty through leverage. An unpaired Omega from a former Beta family, especially one with a reputation for defiance, would be useful. The implications hit me like a slap. He wanted to use me as a hostage. Or worse. Cassius has creative ways of breaking those who oppose him. Demon stands abruptly, pacing to the cave mouth to stare out at the storm. When I realized what he was planning, I knew I had to act. But I was too late to prevent your exile. So you followed me into the blizzard. I've been tracking you for 3 days, waiting for the right moment to approach. I never intended for it to happen this way. He turns back to me, and something in his expression makes my breath catch. I'm sorry you suffered because of my war with my brother. An apology. When was the last time anyone apologized to me for anything? The simple words crack something open in my chest, something I'd thought permanently sealed. The bond, I say, needing to focus on practical matters before these unfamiliar emotions overwhelm me. Explain it to me. He returns to his seat across from me, and I'm grateful for the distance. Being too close to him makes it hard to think clearly. Royal matings are different from pack bonds. They're not just emotional or even physical connections, they're magical contracts that tie the participants together on a soul level. He steeples his fingers, looking like a professor lecturing on supernatural theory rather than a man discussing binding his soul to mine. In the old days, they were used to cement political alliances, to ensure loyalty between ruling families. And they can't be broken. Traditional pack bonds can be severed, though it's painful and leave scars. Royal bonds. He shakes his head. There are stories of kings who tried. Most died in the attempt. The few who survived were never the same. My wolf whines softly at the thought, and I realize with growing alarm that she's not upset by the idea of being permanently bound to this man. If anything, she seems to approve. What would you expect from me? As your mate? Heat flickers in his golden eyes, and suddenly the temperature in the cave seems to rise 10 degrees. Publicly? You'd stand at my side when I reclaim my throne. Attend court functions. Show the packs that their king is strong enough to inspire loyalty from even the most independent Omega. His voice drops. Privately, that would be between us. The implication hangs in the air like smoke, and I feel my cheeks burn. Of course he'd expect physical intimacy. Even a fake mating would require some level of believability, and everyone knows alpha kings don't take celibate mates. I'm not experienced, I admit, hating how young and uncertain I sound. I know. Something protective flashes in his expression. I would never pressure you into anything you weren't ready for, Lyra. Bond or no bond. The sincerity in his voice makes my chest tight. How is it that this stranger, this legend I thought was dead, is offering me more respect and consideration than my own pack mates ever did? How long would this arrangement last? Until I'm secure on my throne and Cassius is dealt with. 6 months, maybe a year at most. He leans forward slightly. And if the bond does become permanent, I want you to know that I would never see you as a trophy or a political necessity. You'd be my equal in all things. Equal. The word is so foreign I almost don't recognize it. I need time to think. Of course. But Lyra. He stands, moving to tend the fire. We can't stay here long. My brother's agents will be looking for me, and your former pack will be searching for your body come morning. If we're going to do this, we need to move soon. The urgency in his voice makes my decision feel even more monumental. I'm not just choosing whether to trust this man with my life, I'm choosing the entire direction my future will take. Where would we go? I have a stronghold in the northern mountains. Hidden, heavily defended, with enough loyal wolves to keep us safe while we plan our next moves. He pokes at the fire with a stick, sending sparks dancing up toward the cave's ceiling. It's isolated, but comfortable. You'd have your own quarters, freedom to come and go as you please. And if I say no? He's quiet for so long I think he won't answer. When he finally speaks, his voice is carefully neutral. Then I'll take you wherever you want to go. Give you enough resources to start over somewhere safe. Cassius would have no reason to pursue you if you're not allied with me. You'd let me walk away? Just like that? Your freedom is yours to give, Lyra. I won't take it from you. He turns to face me, and the firelight turns his eyes to molten gold. But I hope you won't. I think we could be good for each other. The way he says it. Not just that I could be useful to him, but that we could be good for each other, makes something flutter in my chest. When was the last time anyone thought I could be good for them? I close my eyes and try to think rationally about this impossible choice. Stay with Demon and risk a permanent soul bond with a man I've known for less than a day. Or walk away and spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, wondering if Cassius will decide I'm a loose end worth tying up. But when I'm honest with myself, it's not really a choice at all. The alternative to trusting Demon is accepting defeat, accepting that I'll always be at the mercy of stronger wolves who see me as expendable. I'm so tired of being powerless. If I agree, I say without opening my eyes, I want your word that you'll never lie to me. Even if you think the truth will hurt. You have it. And I want to know everything about this war with your brother. If I'm risking my life and my freedom, I deserve to know exactly what I'm getting into. Agreed. I open my eyes and find him watching me with an intensity that makes my breath catch. And if the bond becomes permanent? Yes. I want your word that you'll never see me as a burden. That you'll never resent me for something neither of us could control. His expression softens, and he moves closer, crouching beside me again. Lyra, if the bond becomes permanent, it won't be because of some magical accident. It will be because we choose each other, again and again, until the choice becomes who we are. He reaches out to cup my cheek, and I lean into the warmth despite myself. I could never resent you for that. The sincerity in his voice breaks the last of my resistance. Maybe I'm making the biggest mistake of my life, but for the first time since my parents died, someone is offering me a chance to be more than just a survivor. All right, I whisper. I'll do it. Something fierce and triumphant flashes in his golden eyes. You won't regret this. I better not, I mutter, then look down at myself, still wearing the thin dress I was exiled in, borrowed furs around my shoulders. I'm going to need clothes. He grins, and the expression transforms his entire face from intimidating predator to something almost boyish. I think I can manage that. But first. His expression grows serious again. We need to discuss the mating ceremony itself. Ceremony? Nothing elaborate. But the bond requires certain rituals to take hold, even temporarily. Ancient words, shared blood, the exchange of marks. His eyes drop to my throat, and heat pools low in my belly. Are you prepared for that? The thought of his teeth on my throat, marking me as his, makes my wolf practically dance with excitement. Which should probably worry me more than it does. How long do we have to decide? I ask instead of answering directly. We should perform the ceremony before we reach my stronghold. My followers will expect to scent the bond on both of us. He tilts his head, studying my face. Does that frighten you? It should. The smart thing would be to admit I'm terrified and ask for more time. But looking at him, this powerful, dangerous man who found me dying in a blizzard and offered me everything I never dared dream of, I find that fear isn't what I'm feeling. No, I say, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounds. It doesn't frighten me. Good. He stands, moving to gather supplies I hadn't noticed scattered around the cave. We'll leave at first light. The storm should clear by then, and I want to put as much distance as possible between us and your former territory. Former territory. There it is again, that casual dismissal of my old life. But this time, instead of sadness, I feel anticipation. Whatever lies ahead with Demon, it has to be better than what I'm leaving behind. Demon? He looks up from the pack he's stuffing with supplies. Yes? Thank you. For saving me. For giving me this chance. His expression gentles. Don't thank me yet, little Omega. You haven't seen what you're walking into. The endearment should annoy me. I've never liked being called little by anyone. But in his voice, with that slight growl that makes my wolf preen, it sounds like something precious instead of dismissive. Whatever it is, I say with more confidence than I feel, it can't be worse than freezing to death in exile. He laughs, rich and warm, and the sound fills the cave like music. No, I suppose it can't. As he continues preparing for our departure, I let myself imagine what tomorrow might bring. A new life, a new identity, power I never dreamed possible. And at the center of it all, this enigmatic man who appeared out of a blizzard like something from a fairy tale. Maybe I'm walking straight into another nightmare. But as I watch Demon move around the cave with that predatory grace, as I breathe in his scent and feel my wolf settle into contentment for the first time in my life, I think it might be worth the risk. After all, what's the point of surviving if you never really live? If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 3. The mating ceremony happens at dawn, witnessed only by the wind and snow. Demon's bite burns like liquid fire against my throat, and when I sink my teeth into his shoulder in return, something fundamental shifts in the world around us. The bond snaps into place with such force it drives me to my knees, every nerve ending blazing with awareness of him, his heartbeat, his breath, the wild satisfaction rolling off him in waves. But there's no time to process what just happened. Within an hour we're moving through the forest, Demon setting a punishing pace that has me gasping for breath. He seems unaffected by the ceremony, though I catch him touching his throat where my mark lies hidden beneath his collar. How much farther? I ask as we pause beside a frozen stream. My legs shake with exhaustion, but I refuse to complain. I've made my choice. I won't give him reason to regret it. 2 more hours. His golden eyes assess me with clinical precision. You're doing better than I expected. Thanks for the ringing endorsement. I splash icy water on my face, using the shock of cold to push through my fatigue. Do all your allies get this kind of warm welcome? A smile tugs at his mouth. Most of my allies don't require rescue from blizzards or crash courses in pack politics. Pack politics. Right. In agreeing to become his temporary mate, I've volunteered to navigate a world I know nothing about. Alpha kings and power plays and wolves who see murder as a reasonable career choice. What should I expect at this fortress of yours? I ask as we resume walking. Questions. Lots of them. Demon moves through the forest like he owns it, every step placed with predatory precision. My followers have been waiting 23 years for me to take a mate. They'll want to know everything about you, your lineage, your training, why I chose you over more traditional options. Traditional. Code 4, willing pack daughters who actually wanted to be queen. And what do I tell them? The truth. That you're strong enough to walk away from a pack that didn't deserve you, and smart enough to see opportunity when it presents itself. He glances at me sideways. That you chose me as much as I chose you. The words send an unexpected flutter through my chest. Did I choose him? It felt more like grabbing a lifeline while drowning, but maybe that's the same thing. We crest a ridge, and my breath catches. Below us, carved into the mountainside like something from a fairy tale, stands Demon's Fortress. It's massive, all black stone and soaring towers, with narrow windows that gleam like watching eyes. Even from this distance I can see movement. Guards on the walls, smoke rising from chimneys, the flutter of banners in the wind. It's beautiful, I breathe, then immediately feel foolish for the admission. It's home. Something in his voice makes me look at him. For just a moment, his carefully controlled expression slips, revealing something raw and vulnerable. I never thought I'd see it again. 23 years of exile. No wonder he's willing to risk everything to reclaim his throne. The approach to the fortress is steep and treacherous, clearly designed to discourage uninvited guests. By the time we reach the gates, my legs are burning and my lungs feel ready to burst. But I keep my chin up as massive doors swing open to reveal a courtyard full of wolves. They're all looking at me. Alpha King, says a woman who steps forward from the crowd. She's maybe 40, with silver-streaked black hair and the kind of presence that suggests she's used to being obeyed. Welcome home. Elena. Demon's voice warms with genuine affection. It's good to see you. And this must be our new queen. Elena's dark eyes rake over me with uncomfortable intensity. She's younger than I expected. Youth isn't a weakness, Demon says mildly, but there's steel beneath the words. Lyra, this is Elena Blackwood, my second. Elena, meet Lyra Blackthorn, my mate. Blackthorn. Hearing the name attached to myself sends a shiver down my spine. I'm not just mated to the Alpha King, I'm part of the royal bloodline now, at least temporarily. Elena's nostrils flare slightly as she sensed the fresh mating bond on us. The ceremony was recent. This morning. Demon moves closer to me, close enough that his shoulder brushes mine. The contact sends warmth racing through the bond between us. We'll need quarters prepared, and I want a full briefing on current security measures. Of course. Elena gestures toward the keep. Your old chambers have been maintained. And Alpha King? Her expression grows grim. We have much to discuss. Cassius's agents have been more active lately. The name hits me like a physical blow. My new brother-in-law wants me dead, and according to Demon, he's very good at making inconvenient people disappear. Later, Demon says. First, I want Lyra settled. He leads me through corridors that belong in a museum, stone walls hung with ancient tapestries, suits of armor standing like silent sentinels, oil paintings of stern-faced wolves who can only be past Blackthorn kings. Our footsteps echo in the silence, and I'm acutely aware of the curious stares following our progress. They're all wondering what the hell you see in me, I murmur. They're wondering how I got so lucky. His response is quick and sure, and I feel heat climb my cheeks. The royal chambers are magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. A sitting room with a fireplace big enough to roast a deer leads to a bedroom dominated by a bed that could sleep 6 people. Everything is rich fabrics and polished wood and the kind of luxury I've only seen in movies. There's a second bedroom through there, Demon says, nodding toward a door I hadn't noticed. If you prefer privacy while we adjust to this arrangement. Privacy. Right. Because this is all pretend, just a political arrangement that happens to involve legally binding soul magic. Thank you. I run my hand along the back of an ornate chair, marveling at the softness of the velvet. It's beautiful. All of it. I'm glad you approve. He moves to the windows, gazing out at the mountains beyond. Lyra, there are things you need to know about what you've walked into. Dangers I didn't fully explain. My stomach drops. What kind of dangers? Before he can answer, there's a sharp knock at the door. Elena enters without waiting for permission, her expression urgent. Alpha King, forgive the intrusion, but this can't wait. She holds out a piece of parchment sealed with black wax. This arrived an hour ago. From your brother. Demon's face goes deadly still as he breaks the seal and reads. I watch his expression grow darker with every line, until he looks like an avatar of winter itself. What does it say? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. He crumples the letter in his fist. He knows you're here. He knows about the mating. His golden eyes burn with fury. And he's very interested in meeting his new sister-in-law. Elena makes a sound of disgust. Cassius always did love his games. This isn't a game. Demon moves to the fireplace and throws the letter into the flames. He wants her, Elena. Specifically her. I don't understand, I say, though ice is already forming in my veins. What could he possibly want with me? Elena and Demon exchange a look heavy with meaning. Finally, Elena speaks. Tell me, child, what do you know about your mother's lineage? The question hits me from left field. My mother? She was from a pack in Montana. A teacher. She died when I was 15. My voice catches slightly on the last part, the way it always does when I talk about losing her. Her maiden name? Silvermoon. Why does that? I stop, because both Elena and Demon are staring at me like I've just announced I'm secretly a dragon. Silvermoon, Elena breathes. Luna's blessing, child, do you have any idea what that means? I shake my head, suddenly feeling like I'm missing something huge. Demon runs a hand through his hair, looking like a man trying to solve an impossible puzzle. The Silvermoon bloodline traces back to the first moon-blessed Omegas. They were thought to be extinct. Moon-blessed? The term makes my wolf stir restlessly. What is that? Sit down, Elena says gently, and I realize my legs are shaking. I sink into the velvet chair, gripping the arms as she continues. Moon-blessed Omegas are incredibly rare. Maybe one born every few generations. They have the ability to amplify an alpha's power exponentially. Not just during mating, but constantly. A moon-blessed Omega can turn an ordinary alpha into something approaching divine. The room spins around me. That's impossible. Is it? Demon crouches in front of my chair, his hands covering mine on the armrests. Think, Lyra. Have you ever noticed anything unusual about your effect on alphas? Beyond normal Omega pheromones? I want to deny it, but memories come flooding back. The way Marcus's eyes would dilate whenever he got close to me, how he'd seem stronger, more aggressive after spending time in my presence. The way Alpha Garrett would sometimes stare at me with something approaching hunger, even as he treated me like dirt. The pack knew, I whisper. They all knew what I was. Marcus certainly did, Elena says grimly. Moon-blessed Omegas don't just amplify power, they can only be claimed by alphas of sufficient strength. A beta like Marcus could never truly mate you, but if he could force a bond, even a partial one, he'd gain enough power to challenge for pack leadership. I finish, pieces clicking into place with horrible clarity. And when you refused him? Garrett had to exile me. My voice is barely audible. Because keeping me meant risking civil war when Marcus inevitably tried again. Demon's hands tighten on mine. And Cassius has been systematically hunting moon-blessed Omegas for decades, trying to prevent exactly this scenario. The bottom drops out of my world. My mother. Elena's expression grows gentle. Your mother wasn't killed by grief, child. She was murdered. By Cassius's agents, when they realized what you might inherit. The scream that builds in my throat has nowhere to go, so it turns inward, becoming a pain so sharp I can't breathe around it. My mother, who taught me to read and braided my hair and sang lullabies in the old tongue. Murdered for something I might become. I'm going to kill him. The words emerge as a snarl, and I realize my wolf is much closer to the surface than usual. I'm going to rip his throat out and watch him bleed. Easy, Demon says, his voice cutting through my rage like a blade. Cassius is mine to deal with. Like hell he is. He murdered my mother. And he betrayed me, stole my throne, and scattered my people. Demon's eyes blaze with matching fury. We both have claims on his blood. But revenge requires planning, not just rage. I want to argue, but Elena clears her throat pointedly. Alpha King, we have a more immediate problem. If Cassius knows about Lyra, he'll move against us quickly. Our intelligence suggests he's been gathering supporters in the southern territories. How long before he moves? Demon stands, already shifting into tactical mode. Days, not weeks. He can't afford to let you consolidate power with a moon-blessed mate at your side. Elena glances at me, and I see something like pity in her eyes. He'll come for her specifically. If he can't have her power, he'll make sure no one can. The weight of it all crashes over me at once. I'm not just Demon's temporary mate, I'm a walking weapon that half the supernatural world wants to control and the other half wants to destroy. The brief fantasy of having power, of being able to face my enemies as an equal, crumbles like sand. I should leave, I say quietly. If I'm here, I'm putting everyone in danger. Absolutely not. Demon's voice carries absolute authority. You're safer here than anywhere else in the world. Am I? Or am I just a liability wrapped in royal titles? Before he can answer, another knock echoes through the chambers. This time it's a young man with the lean build of a scout, his face flushed from running. Alpha King, he pants. The perimeter guards report movement in the southern pass. Riders, flying pack colors we don't recognize. Elena curses in a language I don't understand. How many? At least 30. Armed and moving fast. Demon's expression goes deadly cold. Cassius moves quickly. Elena, gather the war council. Double the perimeter guards and bring in all patrols. He turns to me, and I see something fierce and protective in his golden eyes. Lyra, you're not leaving these chambers until this is resolved. I'm not some helpless Omega who needs to be locked away. You're a moon-blessed Omega who every alpha in that approaching war party would kill their own mothers to claim. His voice drops to a growl that makes my wolf whimper with submission. You will stay here, where you're protected, and you will not argue with me about it. The alpha command hits me like a physical force, and for a moment I can't do anything but nod. But as soon as he releases the power, my own fury returns in full force. Don't you ever use your alpha voice on me again, I snarl. I agreed to be your mate, not your prisoner. Something flickers in his expression, surprise, maybe even approval. You're right. I apologize. But Lyra. He moves closer, until I can feel the heat radiating from his skin. I can't lose you. Not when I just found you. The raw honesty in his voice stops my anger cold. This isn't about controlling me, it's about terror. He's as scared as I am, just better at hiding it. You won't lose me, I say softly. But I need to understand what I'm capable of. If I'm really this moon-blessed thing, shouldn't I learn to use it? Elena and Demon exchange another look. Training a moon-blessed Omega requires specific knowledge, Elena says carefully. Knowledge we don't currently possess. Then find someone who does. I stand, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. Because hiding in towers while other people fight my battles isn't an option. Not anymore. Demon studies my face for a long moment. There is someone. A scholar in the Eastern Territories who specializes in old bloodlines. But reaching him would mean traveling through hostile territory. Then we travel through hostile territory. I lift my chin, channeling every bit of my mother's stubborn strength. I spent my whole life being pushed around by wolves who thought I was weak. I won't do it anymore. This isn't about proving your strength, Lyra. This is about keeping you alive long enough to master abilities that could reshape the balance of power in our world. Demon moves to the window again, his tension evident in every line of his body. If Cassius gets his hands on you. He won't. I join him at the window, looking out at the approaching dusk. Because we're going to find this scholar, I'm going to learn what I'm capable of, and then we're going to end this war once and for all. From the courtyard below comes the sound of shouting, of warriors preparing for battle. Whatever's coming, it's coming fast. Demon turns to face me, and in his golden eyes I see something that makes my breath catch, not just desire or political calculation, but something deeper. Something that looks dangerously close to love. If we do this, he says quietly, there's no going back. The moment you fully embrace your moon-blessed nature, you'll be hunted for the rest of your life. Every ambitious alpha in the world will see you as either a prize to be won or a threat to be eliminated. I'm already being hunted. I reach for his hand, letting the bond between us flare with warmth. At least this way, I'll have the power to fight back. He brings my hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles that sends fire racing through my veins. Then we make our stand here. Together. Together, I agree, just as the first war horns sound in the distance. The scouts weren't wrong about the approaching riders. I can see torches moving through the mountain passes like deadly stars. Cassius's forces, coming to claim what they think is rightfully theirs. But they're about to learn what happens when you corner a moon-blessed Omega who has nothing left to lose. Elena appears in the doorway, armor gleaming and sword at her hip. Alpha King, the war council is assembled. And our guest has arrived. Guest? Demon frowns. The Eastern scholar you mentioned. He arrived not an hour after the scouts' report, claiming urgent business with the new queen. Elena's expression is carefully neutral. He says he has information about moon-blessed Omegas that could change everything. I meet Demon's eyes, seeing my own thoughts reflected there. Too much of a coincidence, arriving just as Cassius's forces approach. But also potentially the answer we desperately need. Bring him up, Demon decides. But keep guards posted. If this is a trap. It won't be, says a voice from the doorway, and we all turn to see an elderly man step into the chamber. He's small and scholarly, with wild white hair and eyes the color of storm clouds. But there's something about him that makes my wolf sit up and take notice, power, old and deep and carefully contained. Forgive the intrusion, he continues, bowing slightly to Demon. But I'm afraid we're rather short on time. My name is Thaddeus Greymantle, and I have much to tell you about your mate's heritage. Starting with the fact that she's not just moon-blessed, she's the daughter of the last true moon-blessed queen, which makes her the key to awakening powers that have been dormant for 3 centuries. He turns to me, and his storm-gray eyes seem to see straight through to my soul. Tell me, young queen, are you ready to discover what you really are? If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The knowledge Thaddeus brings changes everything. For 3 days, he teaches me to harness the power singing in my veins, not just the ability to amplify demon strength, but to channel the ancient magic of my bloodline directly. By the end of the first lesson, I can shatter stone with a touch. By the second, I'm calling down lightning from clear skies. By the third, even Demon looks at me with something approaching awe. Your mother was Selene Silvermoon, Thaddeus explains as we stand in the fortress's training yard, watching me reduce a practice dummy to ash with barely a thought. Last of the true Moon Queens, though she fled that legacy to live as an ordinary pack wolf. The name hits me like a physical blow. My mother's name was Sarah. Sarah was the identity she took when she went into hiding. His storm gray eyes are gentle but relentless. Selene Silvermoon was hunted by 3 different Alpha Kings who wanted to claim her power. She chose exile and a false identity rather than become anyone's weapon. But she still died for what she was. Bitterness coats my tongue like poison. She died protecting you. Cassius discovered her true identity when you began showing signs of your heritage. Rather than let him take you both, she made the ultimate sacrifice. Thaddeus moves to stand beside me, his voice dropping to a whisper. She died believing you would be strong enough to finish what she started. What she started? The destruction of wolves who see other people as tools to be used. The assault begins at dawn, Demon says, appearing at my elbow with that silent grace that never fails to make my pulse spike. Are you ready? I look at my hands, still crackling with residual silver energy. As ready as I'll ever be. The plan is elegant in its simplicity. While Demon leads the main force in a frontal assault on Cassius's stronghold, I'll slip in through the ancient tunnels Thaddeus discovered in his research. My job is to find and free any captive moon-blessed Omegas while Demon keeps Cassius occupied. Together, our combined power should be enough to end this war once and for all. It should work. It has to work. But as we prepare to move out, something gnaws at me, a feeling I can't quite name. Demon has been different since Thaddeus arrived, more distant, like he's wrestling with some internal battle. When I try to reach him through our bond, I hit walls I didn't know existed. You're hiding something, I say as we arm ourselves in the pre-dawn darkness. He goes very still, his hands pausing on the buckles of his armor. What makes you say that? The bond. You're blocking me. I move to stand in front of him, forcing him to meet my eyes. What aren't you telling me? For a moment, I think he won't answer. Then his shoulders slump slightly, and I see something that looks like guilt flicker across his features. After this is over, when Cassius is dead and you're safe, we need to talk. His voice is carefully controlled. There are things about how we met, about your exile. Ice floods my veins. What things? Lyra. What things, Demon? Before he can answer, Elena appears in the doorway. Alpha King, the forces are assembled. It's time. The moment passes, but the cold feeling in my stomach remains as we make our final preparations. Whatever Demon is hiding, it's big enough to make him look sick with guilt. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that secrets have a way of surfacing at the worst possible moments. The assault begins with the fury of a winter storm. Demon's forces hit Cassius's outer defenses like a tidal wave, and I feel his power surge through our bond as he tears through enemy lines with supernatural strength. My own abilities flow seamlessly alongside his, amplifying his speed, his reflexes, his raw physical might until he moves like something from legend. From my position in the tunnels beneath the stronghold, I can hear the battle raging above, the clash of steel, the howls of shifted wolves, the crack of stone as supernatural forces collide. But I force myself to focus on my own mission, following Thaddeus's directions through passages that haven't seen light in centuries. The first Omega I find is barely alive. She's chained to a wall in a cell that reeks of fear and despair, her once golden hair now white as snow, her eyes dull with the kind of exhaustion that comes from having your power drained for years. When she sees me, she tries to speak but only manages a croak. It's all right, I whisper, silver energy flowing from my hands to shatter her bonds. You're safe now. Not safe. She manages, her voice like autumn leaves. Never safe. He takes everything. I want to ask her more, but there's no time. I can feel other moon-blessed Omegas nearby, their pain calling to me through whatever mystical connection we share. One by one, I free them, 12 women in total, each one a shadow of what she once was, each one drained nearly to death by whatever process Cassius has been using to steal their power. It's not until I'm leading the last group toward the tunnel exit that I realize the sounds of battle above have stopped. The silence is more terrifying than any war cry. I'm still processing this when Marcus steps out of the shadows, his familiar sneer twisting his features. Behind him come a dozen wolves in Cassius's colors, weapons drawn and ready. Well, he purrs. Look what we have here. The little Omega who thought she was too good for a beta's attention. My power flares instinctively, silver light crackling around my hands. Let them go, Marcus. This is between you and me. Is it? He tilts his head, and something in his expression makes my skin crawl. See, I've learned some interesting things since you left. Like how certain alpha kings can whisper in dreams, plant suggestions, make a desperate beta do exactly what they want him to do. The world stops spinning. What are you talking about? Your precious mate didn't find you by accident, little Omega. He made sure you'd be exactly where he needed you to be. Marcus's grin turns vicious. Every time I approached you, every escalation, every moment that led to your exile, all of it carefully orchestrated by the Alpha King himself. You're lying. But even as I say it, pieces start clicking into place. Demon's guilty expression. The way he always seemed to know exactly what to say to make me trust him. The convenient timing of his appearance in the storm. Am I? Think about it. You spent months fighting off my advances, then suddenly, on the night of the winter moon, the most sacred night of the year, when the mystical energies are strongest, I just happened to push too far? When you just happened to fight back hard enough to give Garrett no choice but to exile you? Marcus laughs, the sound like breaking glass. Your Alpha King needed a desperate, powerful Omega. So he made sure he got one. The betrayal hits me like a physical blow. Every moment of connection I felt with Demon, every word of comfort, every promise of partnership, all of it built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. He didn't save me from exile, he orchestrated it. No, I whisper, but I can feel the truth of it in my bones. Oh yes, Marcus continues, clearly enjoying my pain. And the best part? He's been so busy congratulating himself on his clever manipulation that he never noticed the trap closing around him. That's when Cassius emerges from the deeper shadows, and I understand why the battle above has gone silent. He looks like an older, crueler version of Demon, with the same golden eyes and dark hair, but where Demon radiates controlled power, Cassius feels like barely contained chaos. Hello, dear sister-in-law, he says, his voice smooth as silk and twice as deadly. I've been so looking forward to meeting you. Power radiates from him in waves that make my knees shake, not alpha dominance, but something else. Something wrong. Around his neck hangs a pendant that pulses with sickly light, and I realize with growing horror that the energy coming from it feels familiar. Moon-blessed energy. Stolen and corrupted. You've been draining them, I breathe, gesturing to the broken omegas behind me. Draining is such an ugly word. I prefer to think of it as redistribution. His smile is all sharp teeth and cruelty. These lovely ladies were hoarding power they couldn't properly use. I simply found a better application for their gifts. The pendant pulses brighter, and I can feel him trying to sink hooks into my own power. But whatever Thaddeus taught me holds firm, silver light flaring around me like armor. Impressive, Cassius murmurs. You really are Celine's daughter. She fought me just as fiercely before I had her killed. Rage explodes through me, white-hot and terrible. You bastard. Now. Such language from a queen. He tsks disapprovingly. Though I suppose proper etiquette hardly matters since you won't be keeping that title much longer. Where's Demon? I demand, though part of me isn't sure I want to see him right now. Your husband? Oh, he's quite safe. Unconscious, but safe. Amazing how vulnerable even an alpha king becomes when his mate suddenly severs their bond. Cassius's grin turns predatory. You did feel that snap, didn't you? When Marcus told you the truth about your precious romance? I had felt it, a sharp pain in my chest when the betrayal hit, like something vital being torn away. I'd thought it was just heartbreak, but... The bond, I whisper. Severed by your own hand. Demon drew his power from your connection, and when you cut that tie in your pain and rage. Cassius shrugs eloquently. Well, let's just say my forces had a much easier time subduing him. Guilt wars with fury in my chest. Even if Demon manipulated me, even if everything between us was built on lies, I never intended to leave him defenseless. And now he's captured because of my emotional reaction. What do you want? I ask, though I already know the answer. What I've always wanted. Power. Immortality. The ability to reshape this world according to my vision. His eyes glitter with fanatical fervor. The moon-blessed Omega power I've collected is considerable, but it's incomplete. Fragmented. I need a living conduit to unite all that energy into something truly transcendent. And you think I'll help you? Oh, my dear, you won't have a choice. The pendant around his neck flares with painful light. You see, the ritual to combine all this stolen power requires a willing participant, or at least, someone who appears willing. Fortunately, I've become quite skilled at persuasion over the years. He raises his hand, and agony explodes through my skull. Not physical pain, but something deeper, an assault on my very sense of self. I feel my will beginning to bend, my thoughts growing fuzzy around the edges. But just as his mental dominance begins to take hold, something else flares to life inside me. Not just my own moon-blessed power, but something new. Something that pulses in rhythm with my heartbeat and carries the distinct flavor of Demon's energy signature. The bond. It's not severed at all, it's evolved. Impossible, Cassius snarls as I throw off his mental assault with contemptuous ease. The bond was broken. No, I say, understanding flooding through me as I place a hand over my still flat stomach. It was transformed. The life growing inside me is barely more than a cluster of cells, but it carries both bloodlines, mine and Demon's. Moon-blessed power amplified by royal alpha genetics, creating something that's never existed before. I'm pregnant. And that changes everything. Power erupts from me like a silver tsunami, washing over the cavern with enough force to crack stone. The captive Omegas cry out in wonder as their stolen energy returns to them, flowing back through mystical connections I'm only beginning to understand. Marcus staggers backward, his face pale with terror. But Cassius just laughs. Even better, he purrs. A gravid moon-blessed Omega carrying royal blood. The ritual will be so much more potent with 3 power sources instead of 1. He lunges for me, moving with inhuman speed, but I'm ready for him. Silver lightning crackles from my fingertips, meeting his stolen power in a collision that shakes the mountain itself. We're evenly matched for now, but I can feel him drawing on the pendant's reserves while my own strength has limits. You can't win, he taunts as we circle each other like predators. I have decades of accumulated power. You're just one Omega, no matter how gifted. She's not alone. The voice comes from the tunnel entrance, and my heart leaps despite everything. Demon stands there, armor torn and bloody but very much alive, his golden eyes blazing with fury that makes the air itself seem to burn. Hello, brother, Cassius says mildly. I was wondering when you'd wake up. The bond isn't severed, Demon continues, his gaze fixed on me. I felt a change, not break. And I felt. His eyes drop to my stomach, and wonder softens his features. Lyra. It's yours, I say quietly. Ours. For a moment, everything else fades away. The cavern, the danger, even Cassius, all of it becomes background noise as Demon and I stare at each other across the space between us. Our bond hums with new harmonies, deeper and more complex than before, strengthened by the life we've created. How touching, Cassius drawls. A family reunion. Though I'm afraid it will be short-lived. He raises the pendant high, and every scrap of stolen power he's accumulated over the decades flows into him at once. His form begins to shift and change, growing larger, more terrible, until he looks less like a wolf and more like something out of nightmare. But as his power peaks, I feel Demon's presence in my mind, not controlling or manipulating, but offering. Asking permission to share strength the way we should have from the beginning. Together, he asks, and I hear apology and hope and love all wrapped up in that single word. I still don't know if I can forgive him for the manipulation that brought us together. But right now, with our unborn child's life hanging in the balance, that's a conversation for later. Together, I agree. Our powers merge not through force or trickery, but through choice. My moon-blessed energy flows into him while his alpha strength reinforces mine, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. Add in the new life growing between us, and suddenly we're not just evenly matched with Cassius, we're overwhelming him. The battle that follows shakes the mountain to its foundations. Power clashes against power in a display that would make the old gods weep with envy. But in the end, love and choice triumph over theft and manipulation. Cassius falls, his stolen power returning to its rightful owners, his plans for immortality crumbling to ash. As the dust settles and the surviving enemies flee, I find myself face to face with my mate in the ruins of his brother's stronghold. The adrenaline is fading, leaving behind the complicated tangle of emotions I haven't had time to process. You manipulated me, I say quietly. He nods, not trying to deny it. I did. You made Marcus pursue me, knowing it would lead to my exile. Yes. You orchestrated the single most traumatic night of my life so you could swoop in and play savior. His jaw clenches, but his voice remains steady. Yes. Part of me wants to rage at him, to make him pay for the deception. But another part, the part that's growing stronger with each passing moment, recognizes something in his expression that gives me pause. But you didn't expect to fall for me, I realize. For the first time since Marcus's revelation, Demon's composure cracks. No. I didn't expect that at all. You thought it would be simple. Find a desperate moon-blessed Omega, offer her a political arrangement, use her power to reclaim your throne. I step closer, studying his face in the dim light. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being pretend. The moment I saw you in that blizzard, something changed. His voice is rough with emotion. You were supposed to be a tool, a means to an end. But then you looked at me with those defiant eyes and chose to trust me despite every reason not to, and I... You what? I fell. He reaches up to touch the mating mark on his throat, and I feel the echo of sensation through our bond. Completely. Irrevocably. And suddenly the plan didn't matter anymore because all I could think about was keeping you safe. The sincerity in his voice makes my chest tight. How do I know this isn't another manipulation? Because I'm telling you the truth now when I could just as easily lie. He steps closer, his hand hovering near my cheek but not quite touching. Because I'm giving you every reason to leave me when I should be trying to convince you to stay. I stare up at him, this complex man who orchestrated my suffering and then made me feel more cherished than anyone ever had. The smart thing would be to walk away, to take our child and disappear into the world beyond pack politics and royal intrigue. But as I stand here in the aftermath of battle, feeling the new life growing inside me and the bond that connects us in ways I'm still discovering, I realize something important. The manipulation brought us together, I say finally. But everything that happened after, the choice to trust you, to accept your offer, to stand and fight beside you, those were my decisions. Hope flickers in his golden eyes. Does that mean? It means we start over. No more secrets, no more manipulation, no more lies between us. I place my hand over his heart, feeling it racing beneath my palm. If we're going to raise a child together, if we're going to rule together, it has to be as equals. True partners. Equals, he agrees, and the vow in his voice makes our bonds sing with harmony. True partners. He cups my face in his hands, his touch gentle despite the calluses and scars of battle. I love you, Lyra Blackthorn. Not for your power, not for what you can give me, but for who you are. For your strength and your courage and your magnificent, stubborn heart. The words wrap around me like warmth, healing wounds I didn't know I carried. I love you too, I whisper back. But if you ever manipulate me again, I will end you. His laugh is rich and warm and completely without fear. Noted. Though I have to say, the threat is considerably more impressive now that I know what you're capable of. Around us, the freed Omegas are stirring, their strength returning as their stolen power settles back where it belongs. There will be healing to do, rebuilding, the complex work of uniting fractured packs under a new kind of rule. But as Demon pulls me close and I feel our child's spark of life glowing bright between us, I think we're up to the challenge. After all, we're not just mates anymore, we're family. And family is worth fighting for. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The blood moon rises like a crimson eye, bathing the fortress in scarlet light that makes everything feel otherworldly. I stand at the window of our chambers, one hand pressed to my still flat stomach, feeling the life within me pulse in rhythm with the ancient magic saturating the air. The power is incredible tonight, I murmur as Demon joins me at the window. I can feel every moon-blessed Omega for miles, their strength, their pain, their hope. The blood moon amplifies everything, he agrees, his arms sliding around my waist in a gesture that's become as natural as breathing. Are you sure you're ready for this? The final confrontation with what remains of Cassius's forces, the ceremony to formally claim my place as Alpha Queen, and most importantly, the ritual to fully heal our bond and protect our unborn child from the lingering effects of magical interference. It's been 3 weeks since the battle in the caverns. 3 weeks of rebuilding, of healing the rescued Omegas, of learning to navigate the complex politics of uniting scattered packs under one banner again. And 3 weeks of Demon courting me properly, the way he should have from the beginning. Gone are the desperate political machinations and survival-based decisions. In their place, he brings me flowers from the mountain meadows, listens to my ideas about pack reform with genuine interest, and holds me through the nightmares that still come sometimes. He's shown me that the man I fell for beneath the manipulation was real, maybe the most real thing about him. But tonight isn't about courtship or politics. Tonight is about power, protection, and finally putting the past to rest. I'm ready, I tell him, meaning it completely. The great hall has been transformed for the ceremony. Ancient symbols gleam silver on the stone floor, candles burn at the cardinal points, and the air itself seems to hum with expectation. The surviving members of the pack leadership are assembled, Elena looking fierce in ceremonial armor, Thaddeus with his arms full of mystical implements, and dozens of wolves who've sworn their loyalty to our cause. But it's the group of rescued Omegas that makes my heart swell with pride. They stand together near the altar, no longer broken shadows but women reclaiming their strength. Their stolen power has returned, their bodies have healed, and their eyes burn with the same determination I see in my own mirror. Sisters, I say as I approach them, using the formal address of Omega to Omega. Tonight we don't just bind ourselves to new leadership, we remake the very foundations of what it means to be pack. Sarah, the first Omega I freed, steps forward. Her white hair has regained some of its golden color, and her voice is strong when she speaks. What would you have of us, Alpha Queen? Your witness. Your strength. And your promise that when we rebuild, no Omega will ever again suffer what we've suffered. You have all three, she says, and the others echo her words in voices that ring with conviction. The ceremony begins at the stroke of midnight, when the blood moon reaches its peak. Demon and I stand before the altar, hands clasped, as Thaddeus begins the ancient rites that will bind us not just as political allies but as true partners in every sense of the word. Do you, Demon Blackthorn, take this woman as your equal? Thaddeus intones, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. To share power, not hoard it? To protect, not control? To love, not possess? I do, Demon says, his golden eyes never leaving mine. With all that I am and all that I hope to become. And do you, Lyra Silvermoon Blackthorn, accept this man as your partner? To challenge when necessary? To support without losing yourself? To love without surrendering your autonomy? I do. The words come from the deepest part of my soul. I choose you, demon. Not from desperation or manipulation, but from love. Thaddeus raises his hands, and power begins to swirl around us, not just his scholarly magic, but the combined strength of every wolf in the hall. The blood moon's light streams through the windows, turning everything silver red and beautiful. Then let the bond be made complete, he declares. Demon and I move together, his teeth finding the mark he left on my throat weeks ago while I bite down on his. But this time, instead of the desperate claiming of political necessity, it's a true joining. The bond snaps into place with such force that light explodes around us, and I hear gasps of wonder from our witnesses. Our powers merge seamlessly, my moon-blessed abilities flowing into his alpha strength while his leadership qualities enhance my mystical gifts. But more than that, our souls intertwine until I can't tell where I end and he begins. The life growing in my womb pulses brighter, as if blessed by our union. For a moment, pure joy fills the hall. We've done it, created something new and beautiful from the ashes of betrayal and manipulation. Then the windows explode inward in a shower of glass and crimson light. Cassius stands in the ruined frame, but he's changed since our last encounter. His eyes burn with hellfire, his form seems to shift and writhe as if something else is puppeting his body, and the air around him reeks of sulfur and ancient malice. Did you really think it would be that easy? His voice is layered now, harmonizing with something much older and infinitely more dangerous. Did you think binding your little souls together would protect you from what's coming? Cassius. Demon steps protectively in front of me, but I can feel his shock through our new bond. What have you done to yourself? I've done nothing. Cassius laughs, the sound like breaking bones. But my patron has been very generous with his gifts. The thing wearing Cassius's face gestures, and half the wolves in the hall collapse, clutching their throats as if invisible hands are choking them. The rescued Omegas cry out in pain as something tries to drain their newly restored power. The first Alpha King, Thaddeus breathes, his face pale with horror. Fenris Blackthorn. I should have seen it sooner. Ah, the scholar recognizes me at last. Cassius/Fenris inclines his head mockingly. Though I prefer to think of myself as reclaiming what was always mine. The first Alpha King. The founder of the Blackthorn dynasty, who disappeared mysteriously over 1,000 years ago. Legend said he walked into the wilderness one day and never returned, but if the legends were wrong. You've been possessing pack leaders for centuries, I realize, pieces clicking into place with horrible clarity. Every war, every betrayal, every pack torn apart by internal conflict, that was you, wasn't it? Very good, little Omega. Yes, I've spent a millennium orchestrating chaos, feeding on the bonds I helped create and then destroy. The thing's grin stretches Cassius's face into something inhuman. Pack bonds, mating bonds, family bonds, all of them delicious sources of power when properly harvested. But why? Demon demands, his voice raw with anguish for his possessed brother. You were the greatest Alpha King in history. You united the packs, brought peace to our kind. Why throw it all away? Because peace is boring. Fenris roars, and the very stones of the fortress shake. Because unity means stagnation. Because 1,000 years of watching lesser wolves squander the empire I built has driven me quite beautifully insane. He raises his hands, and I feel him pulling at every bond in the room, trying to sever connections between pack mates, between parents and children. The agony is indescribable, like having vital organs ripped from my body. But then my own power flares in response, strengthened by the blood moon and the new completion of my bond with Demon. Silver light pours from my skin, protecting the wolves around me from Fenris's assault. Interesting, he muses, his burning gaze fixing on me. The Moon Queen's daughter has some fight in her. But let's see how long you can maintain the protection when I start killing the people you care about. He lunges for Elena first, moving with inhuman speed. She gets her sword up in time to block his initial strike, but the force of it sends her flying across the hall. Before she can recover, he's on Sarah, claws extending toward her throat. I react without thinking, silver lightning crackling from my fingertips to intercept his attack. The power clash sends shockwaves through the hall, but I managed to drive him back from the vulnerable Omega. Impressive, Fenris admits. But ultimately futile. You see, I've had 1,000 years to perfect the art of breaking bonds. Watch. He focuses his attention on Demon, and I feel something terrible begin to pull at the connection between us. Not trying to sever it completely, that's beyond his power now, but poisoning it, filling it with doubt and pain and the whisper of old betrayals. Demon staggers, his face contorting with agony. Lyra. I can't, the bond. I know. I reach for him through our connection, pouring my strength into reinforcing what Fenris is trying to corrupt. Hold on to me. Hold on to us. But maintaining protection for the entire hall while healing Demon's pain and fighting off Fenris's attacks is beyond even my enhanced abilities. I can feel my power beginning to fracture under the strain. That's when I realize what I have to do. Thaddeus. I call out, never taking my eyes off the possessed Cassius. The purification ritual, is it possible? The old scholar's eyes widen with understanding. Theoretically, yes, but the power requirements, and the risk to you and the child. What purification ritual? Demon manages through gritted teeth. Ancient magic, I explain quickly, silver energy still streaming from my hands to hold Fenris at bay. Instead of trying to destroy him, we purify the possession, separate Fenris's spirit from Cassius's body and give the ancient king what he truly needs. Which is peace. I meet Demon's gaze, and he sees the decision I've already made. But it requires me to open my soul completely, make myself vulnerable to possession in order to reach Fenris directly. Absolutely not. Demon's voice carries absolute alpha authority. I won't let you risk yourself and our child for my brother. It's not just for Cassius. I gesture to the wolves around us, many of them still writhing in pain from Fenris's bond-breaking assault. It's for all of them. For every pack that's been torn apart by his manipulations. For every Omega who's suffered because of his games. Fenris laughs from across the hall. How touching. The little queen wants to save everyone. But you can't save them, child. I've had 1,000 years to grow strong, to feed on suffering and betrayal. What makes you think one Omega, even a moon-blessed one, can stand against me? Because I'm not just one Omega, I reply, feeling power surge through me from unexpected sources. The rescued Omegas step forward as one, their hands glowing with returned strength. Elena rises from where Fenris knocked her down, blood on her lips but determination in her eyes. Throughout the hall, every wolf still standing moves closer, offering their power freely. I'm one Omega supported by a pack that chooses unity over division, healing over vengeance, love over power. I look directly at Fenris, seeing past his stolen form to the ancient, twisted spirit beneath. And most importantly, I'm one Omega who knows what it's like to be alone and abandoned, just like you've been for 1,000 years. For the first time since his dramatic entrance, Fenris goes completely still. You think you understand loneliness, he whispers, and beneath the rage I hear something else, pain so deep and old it takes my breath away. I think you've been in pain for so long you've forgotten what peace feels like, I say gently. I think you've been lashing out at the world because you lost everything that mattered to you and didn't know how to grieve. I was a god, he roars, but there are cracks in his voice now. I united the packs, brought order to chaos, created an empire that should have lasted forever. And then what? You grew old, your pack mates died, your mates passed on, and you were left alone with all that power and no one to share it with. I take a step closer, ignoring Demon's sharp intake of breath. So you made a deal with forces beyond our world, traded your mortality for the chance to keep interfering, keep trying to recreate what you'd lost. Stop. The word comes out broken, and for a moment I see past the demonic possession to the wounded soul beneath. But you can't recreate love through manipulation, Fenris. You can't build genuine connections through fear and control. All you've done is ensure your own isolation while spreading your pain to others. Stop, he pleads again, and now he sounds less like a demon and more like a very old, very tired wolf. "Let me help you," I whisper, opening my arms. "Let me show you what true pack unity feels like. What it means to be part of something bigger than yourself without having to control it." The blood moon's light intensifies, turning the hall into something from a fever dream. Every wolf present adds their strength to mine as I reach out through mystical channels older than civilization itself. Not to attack or control, but to offer healing to a spirit that's been poisoned by its own loneliness. Fenris fights me at first, his demonic power lashing out in waves that should flatten the entire fortress. But gradually, as my pack's combined love and loyalty washes over him, his resistance crumbles. "I'm so tired," he admits, and the ancient pain in his voice breaks my heart. "So very tired of being alone." "Then don't be alone anymore." I pour everything I have into the connection between us, not just my power, but my empathy, my understanding of loss, my hard-won knowledge that healing requires letting others help carry your burdens. "Let us help you find peace." The purification happens all at once, like a dam bursting. Light explodes through the hall as Fenris's spirit separates from Cassius's body, rising like silver mist toward the shattered windows. But instead of the twisted, demonic thing he'd become, I see him as he must have been originally, a proud, lonely king who loved his people so much he couldn't bear to let them go. "Thank you," he whispers as his form begins to fade. "Thank you for reminding me what love looks like." Then he's gone, passing on to whatever comes after, and Cassius collapses to the stone floor like a puppet with cut strings. I'm at his side in seconds, demon right behind me. Cassius is breathing but unconscious, his face peaceful for the first time since I've known him. The hellfire is gone from his eyes, the demonic corruption purged from his system. "Will he live?" Demon asks, his voice rough with emotion. "Yes," I say, checking his pulse and finding it strong and steady. The possession is completely gone. When he wakes up, he'll be himself again, probably with no memory of what happened while Fenris was controlling him. And Fenris? I look toward the windows, where the first light of dawn is beginning to chase away the blood moon's crimson glow. At peace, finally. The way he should have been 1,000 years ago. Around us, the pack begins to stir. The wolves who were knocked unconscious are waking up, the rescued Omegas are embracing each other with tears of joy, and Elena is loudly demanding to know what she missed while she was taking a little nap. But I only have eyes for my mate, this complex man who's shown me that love and trust can grow even from the most twisted roots. "So," I say, settling into his arms as we wait for Cassius to wake up. "I believe you promised me a proper courtship." His laugh is warm and rich and completely without shadows. "I did indeed, my queen. Though after tonight, I think we might have earned the right to skip straight to the honeymoon." "Absolutely not." I grin up at him. "I want flowers, romantic dinners, walks in the moonlight, all of it. You owe me at least that much after your dramatic manipulation schemes." "Fair enough. Though I should warn you, I plan to be very thorough in my courtship efforts." "Good. Because I plan to be very demanding in my expectations." We're both laughing when Cassius finally stirs, his eyes opening to focus on our faces with complete confusion. "Demon? What happened? Why does my head feel like it was used for target practice by a particularly vindictive pack of rogues?" "Long story," Demon says, helping his brother sit up. "The short version is you were possessed by our crazy ancestor, we broke the possession, and now we all get to live happily ever after." "Possessed?" Cassius blinks slowly. "By Fenris?" That actually explains a lot about the last few decades. He looks around the ruined hall, taking in the aftermath of supernatural battle. "I don't suppose there's any chance this was all an elaborate dream?" "Afraid not," I say gently. "But you're free now." "We all are." The next few weeks pass in a blur of reconstruction and renewal. True to his word, Demon courts me with all the romantic dedication I could have asked for. There are wildflower bouquets left on my pillow, candlelit dinners overlooking the mountain valleys, and long walks where we talk about everything and nothing until the stars come out. But more importantly, we worked together to rebuild pack society from the ground up. New laws protecting omegas from forced mating. Educational programs teaching young wolves about consent and respect. Trade agreements that benefit smaller packs instead of just the powerful ones. Cassius, once his memories of the possession period fade, becomes one of our strongest allies in these efforts. Apparently, spending decades having his body used by a manipulative spirit has given him a deep appreciation for personal autonomy. I have an idea, I tell Demon one evening as we sit on our private balcony, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold. Just one? I'm disappointed. I laugh and swat his shoulder. I want to go back to Shadowpine Pack. His expression immediately grows serious. Lyra. Not for revenge, I clarify quickly. For justice. There are other omegas there, probably suffering the same way I did. And if we're serious about reforming pack culture, shouldn't we start with the places that need it most? He considers this, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my hand. It won't be easy. Confronting your past, facing wolves who hurt you. I won't be facing them alone, I point out. I'll have my mate, my pack, and more power than they could ever dream of. Plus, I add with a wicked grin, I really want to see the look on Marcus's face when he realizes that the defective Omega he tried to force himself on is now the most powerful female in the supernatural world. That, Demon says with matching wickedness, would pay good money to see. The return to Shadowpine Pack happens on a crisp autumn morning, exactly 6 months after my exile. But instead of stumbling through the snow in a thin dress, I arrive at the head of a royal procession, wearing a crown of silver and moonstone, my pregnant belly proudly displayed beneath robes that shimmer with mystical energy. The pack that cast me out as worthless is forced to kneel before me as their alpha queen. But as I stand before them, feeling their awe and terror in equal measure, I realize that revenge isn't what I came for after all. What I want is so much better than petty payback. Rise, I command, and they obey with the automatic response of wolves recognizing superior power. I didn't come here to punish you for past sins. I came to offer you a choice. I gesture, and several female wolves step forward from my entourage, the omegas I rescued from Cassius's dungeons, now healthy and strong and radiating confidence. These women were once prisoners, their power stolen, their spirits nearly broken. But they chose healing over bitterness, growth over stagnation. They chose to help build something better instead of wallowing in what was lost. I meet Alpha Garrett's eyes, seeing the fear there but also something that might be hope. I'm offering you the same choice, Shadowpine Pack. You can cling to old ways that hurt everyone, or you can evolve into something worthy of the loyalty you demand. You can continue treating your omegas as property, or you can discover what true strength looks like when everyone is valued. And if we refuse? Garrett asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Then you'll be left behind while the rest of the world moves forward. Your choice. I don't wait for his answer. Instead, I turn to the pack's omegas, young women who remind me painfully of my former self, eyes downcast, shoulders hunched with the weight of constant submission. But you, I say, my voice carrying to every corner of the clearing, you have choices too. If you want to stay and work to make this pack better, you'll have my full support and protection. If you want to leave and find somewhere that already values what you bring to the world, I'll help you do that too. One by one, the omegas raise their eyes to meet mine. In their faces I see wonder, hope, and the first stirrings of real courage. The choice is always yours, I tell them. Never forget that. As we prepare to leave Shadowpine territory, I take one last look at the forests that shaped my childhood, the streams where I played, the pack house where I learned both love and loss. Any regrets? Demon asks, settling his hand over my rounded belly where our child grows strong. I think about it seriously, considering the path that brought me here. The exile that felt like death but led to life. The manipulation that hurt but ultimately taught me the difference between false promises and real love. The betrayal that broke me open but let the light in. No, I say finally, meaning it completely. No regrets at all. We ride home through forests painted gold with autumn light, toward a fortress filled with wolves who chose unity over division, healing over vengeance. Toward a future where strength isn't measured by dominance but by the courage to lift others up. And in my heart, I carry the certainty that this is just the beginning. Our child will grow up in a world where all wolves, Alpha, Beta, and Omega, are valued for who they are rather than what they can be forced to give. Where love is chosen freely and bonds are built on respect rather than desperation. It's not the life I dreamed of in that cold exile, shivering in the snow while blood dripped from my wounds. It's so much better. As the sun sets behind us and the first stars appear in the darkening sky, I lean back against my mate's chest and feel our child kick as if in response to my contentment. "I love you," Demon murmurs against my hair. "I love you too," I reply, and the words carry all the weight of choice freely made, trust freely given, and a future freely claimed. Behind us, Shadowpine Pack grapples with decisions that will shape their destiny. Ahead of us, home waits with warm fires and the promise of tomorrow. And here, in this moment between past and future, I am exactly where I belong. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.